Hey guys, look at that. It's been a wacky evening. We're kind of scrambling here. Some stuff behind the scenes, but you know what? We have Dell via the cell phone in the car full of family, and he's going to join us because he's on his way to this house to jump on the bigger screen. But here he is. Look at that. Where you at, Dell? Dell, where you at? Okay, there he is. think I think you're on mute, Dell. You're on mute, sir. Uh, I'm telling you guys, it's this kind of show, so I don't know what to tell you guys. We're gonna have the comic corner guys on. Actually, I just found out. There you go. This is what happens when you when you broadcast from a cell phone. Okay, we have the comic corner fellas on, but one is not feeling up to par, which is Nikki Sapienza. And so we're going to have hopefully Brian will be showing up and joining us. We also have Ish joining as well. Um, and I think Dale, are you back, Dale? You want to bring you back on or okay? It's been a crazy week, people. I don't know what you guys think, huh?
There we go. No,
There you
I
go.
was I
There you
was
go.
like frozen for a while.
There you go.
Um, damn. I need
Yeah.
to get home fast. I'm like 10 minutes, not even 10, like 7 minutes away from home.
All right, well, we could just wait. You could just get up. I mean, we're just waiting for the other guys to show on, and I could talk about a few stuff.
I mean, you could always show off what we were going to be talking about too.
Yeah, man.
Oh, Dorf.
Dorf. Hey, Dorf, do you want to jump on? Because we have a couple of guys dropping off and because of personal reasons. Do you
Are
want to
they
jump in, Dorf? If you want to jump
get
on, by all
Doper
means,
Burger?
let me know,
Oh, we're gonna
Dorf.
have Ish later. We love
Yeah,
to see arguing.
yeah, we're gonna have Ish. Hopefully, Brian will join us from the Comic Corner. Sapienza is not feeling up to par. He's also dealing with the
Cody is
Florida.
in Germany.
Cody's in Germany. Okay, hold on. All right. All right. Cool. Okay. Let me do this. So thank you everybody for staying very patient with us. We had a few snafus and we're trying to scramble here to get some content to
Oh, we
you
have five
guys.
people on right now.
But we are going to talk about the
Wow, look at that.
um, exclusives for the New York Comic Con that the Comic Corner is
How
doing.
about Joker?
We can talk about the whole Joker thing, which is interesting because, well, it tanked. You know, I rose. All right.
Who's surprised?
Well, listen, there was a part of me. Okay, let's just before we have the conversation. There you go, Dorf.
Hello,
How you,
everyone.
how you doing, pal? You know what? We're scrambling here because I think the hurricane is also throwing everybody in a little sort of crazy hiatus. Um. So yeah, I am surprised. I am surprised that I am surprised that the Joker is tanking as much as it is. Now,
As much.
I wasn't expecting anything, right? I wasn't expecting like a I was expecting what we all expected. Like, yeah, it's not gonna do that well. But holy poop. I mean, the things we're hearing, Todd Phillips almost in a sense kind of sabotaged it in a sense. He kind of give two craps. He's done for the DCU. He was not talking to James Gunn. He was not answering his phone calls. He was only taking directions from the head honcho Warner Brothers. But once again, we're all. I'm gonna watch it right when it comes on on screen or when it comes on stream probably on Max. And I mean, you're not shocked, right, Dorf?
I am not surprised at all. Um, my, I'm not surprised at all. My brain said as soon as they announced it being a musical,
Mm.
like that's the part that for me just it was bad enough. Again, I wasn't a fan of the first Joker movie only because it has nothing to do with the Joker. I think the movie,
Right.
had it not been called The Joker and had it just been some indie flick that was like that about a guy with, his mental breakdown and whatever, I think it would have been a good movie. But as a comic book person going to see the Joker, I wanted something that resembled the character that I think is the greatest comic book villain ever created. And if you're going to give a comic book villain their own film on their own, that's the character that it makes sense to do it with. So for that to have been what came out, I wasn't expecting anything from this. And then they're turning into a musical also. And I'm just like, what in the world are they doing? Like, why?
But I'm not. The thing is that I'm all right because I didn't mind. We've had this conversation. What's going on, J. Rob? We've had this conversation endlessly. I didn't mind the Joker. It was good. I thought the actor was good and all that. Blah blah blah. Okay, and they could have made a second on that. Sure, no problem. But the fact that oh, that's funny. Good old Ish saying here he doesn't have a link. That's weird. Oh, that's odd. That's really odd. Okay, hold on. The fact that it bombed as much as it did. Now, when I hear musical, the first thing I think about is because I don't mind musicals. I should say like only a few.
I love musicals. I take my daughter to musical theater.
Right. Now, the thing is that when I think of musicals, I think of musicals. I think from what people have seen the movie, it's basically them singing popular songs that are popular. I don't know if that's not gonna work even though it's not a superhero movie, it's still a movie about a comic character that we have grown to love. It just doesn't, certain things don't mix well.
It didn't compute at all. It doesn't mean that you can't do it. I mean, right. I think it could certainly be done if it was done differently. Right. And if you have the right people and whatever, but you have to have a script that makes sense. What I was literally, I don't know what review I saw, but that literally said if you took away the songs, that there's virtually no script. Mm-hmm. Like, that there's no story to it. Which, why are you making a movie? If you don't have a story and you're just, well, I've got this guy and I've got Lady Gaga agreeing to do it, so we'll make money. Like, that's what seems like what they decided to do. The first one hit, so let's redo it, play on the back of that. Let's get Gaga, who everyone loves and just came off of a great movie. When they cast her, she was just coming off of the Star is Born, mm-hmm. which was great, and she was great in it. And that song, of course, was a huge hit. Right. So it seemed like a money grab. And I don't think anyone who cared about this type of, like, ooh, a musical Joker, let's do it. Because why would anyone say, ooh, a musical Joker, let's do it?
Well, the thing is that if these rumors are true that Todd Phillips kind of tanked the movie because he wants to be done with it, it kind of makes you wonder, well, if it really was in the hands of someone who cared about it, well, first of all, they probably would have made a musical. that's as simple as that, right? I mean,
well, there's a few things to it. I mean, Edward Norton was originally the screenwriter for his Incredible Hulk film. Mm-hmm. And he had disagreements with the studios about the cuts.
And then that's it.
And it wasn't the cut that he wanted. So he actually had his name taken off of the writing credits. He had written it with the hope of it being a trilogy. That was his intention from the beginning.
Right.
And again, I still like what came out of that movie. I think that movie was good. But I don't know that this director wasn't on board for what it could have been. But when you're being dictated, oh, it's got to be a musical, and it's got to be this, and it's got to be this, and you got to take that. I could see you not wanting to be a part of that and not wanting to push it and promote it and whatever. I'm not saying you should tank it verbally like he has, but I also don't think he did that at least I didn't see him doing that until the god-awful reviews started coming out. I didn't hear anything about him disowning it and disowning DC until the terrible review. Like, if you're being told you have to do this, you have to do this, you have to do this, you keep your mouth shut and hope it goes well. But if it doesn't, you want to separate yourself from the travesty. Now, you can say part of it's his fault, or you could say it's not, but without being inside it yourself, you have no idea which side it really falls.
it really does make you wonder, though, right?
Mhm.
You know, was it his idea to make it a musical, or was it Warner Brothers going,
So
no, you're gonna make a musical?
one of my favorite directors is Kevin Smith. Kevin Smith, while he doesn't make the most, highbrow movie and whatever, his first major critical success was Chasing Amy, where the studios tried to force all of these different actors down his throat.
Mhm.
And he said, no, I have these actors that I want to do and that I want to use, and I will make this movie for X amount less than you were going to budget me. I think they wanted David Schwimmer and Drew Barrymore as two of the main cast members because they had deals at the time.
Right,
And he
right.
said, absolutely not. I don't want them. These are the people that I want to use. So instead of giving me this much money to use to make the film, give me this much less and I'll make it with this. And the
Right, right.
studio agreed and he got it for he got the money that he wanted and the movie was phenomenal.
What's
So
up,
there
Rick?
is a point where yes, a studio is trying to push and whatever, but that was his own script, his own thing, his thing from his brain. This is the Joker. This is something that the studio owns and expects to make a lot of money on, and you're not going to be able to go like this with the studio and say, "Hey, I see what you're saying," but so if the studio is trying to shove Lady Gaga down your throat for the Joker, you're probably not going to have a choice but to take Lady Gaga.
Yeah, there you go, Dale. Finally.
Can y'all hear me?
Yeah, you're good. You're good.
No,
Door
I
sucks.
can't hear you,
Can
Dale.
y'all hear me?
No,
Mhm.
Dale.
Oh shit, door sucks.
No, don't listen to that idiot. You're fine. He's fine. You're fine, Dale. You could have done that all night.
I could have done it all that. What's up, Jason? How's your internet? Hope he's doing good.
Yeah.
What's up, Brent? How you doing, brother?
What's up, Brent?
Jason, poor Jason.
Yeah,
Shit, I'm finding you here. Let me see.
so regardless, I guess it's. I don't think there's going to be another Joker probably in the mix. So that
I
makes
don't
it a
think
little
Joaquin Phoenix wanted to do another Joker anyway.
to start
Like
with.
everything that he said, he had no interest in doing another one after this one.
That is
It
true.
doesn't seem like it was gonna happen after this anyway. This
It was a movie that did not need a sequel.
That's true.
no.
Nobody asked for a sequel. The only reason why they did it, to be honest with you, is to bring in Harley. Uh, um, and
The
even
only
then,
reason was because the first one made a lot more of this than they expected.
yeah, that's the case. They wanted to make the movie like you did the first time and make the money, all right? But instead, they're like, well, we're gonna f this up so it doesn't make any money, ruin any kind of hope. It's just kind of weird. But once again, I'm gonna watch it. Right, we're all gonna watch it when it streams. We all are part of it. We all are part of this osmosis of DC and Marvel movies that we're gonna watch and judge for ourselves. Um, Now, am I gonna come out going it was all right? Because it's very hard for me to go. I just didn't like that movie. I don't say that very much. There's very few movies.
No,
I like.
you even liked Morbius.
And I like Morbius. So it's like Morbius is my thing, right? But it's not true. I did detest Madam Web, and yet there's people who are like Madam Web was not that bad.
No,
So-
those were both terrible.
Right. Listen, you can't win. That's the whole thing. We always talk about movies like art. It's all subjective. 100% subjective. What Dorf or Dell like, I might say shit. What I like, Dorf will say shit, which is true. We've had this conversation many times. And I don't understand what happened and what went wrong. But hey, you know what? It is what it is. I just realized that Penguin comes out on Sundays. For some reason, I thought that was during the week.
Penguin has been like the complete opposite of Joker. Like riveting. I mean, I haven't seen the Joker, and I don't plan to until it gets to streaming because I'm not gonna waste my monies unless it's at the drive-in. Then maybe I'll watch it. But but the Penguin has been really good. I haven't watched the last two episodes, right? Or
I'm waiting until it's all out so I can.
Okay.
I should, right? At this point, I should just wait and just binge watch the whole thing because it's pretty good.
Well, their third episode dropped this past Sunday, and people are absolutely raving about it because apparently there's some flashbacks to the movie, right?
That's not good. I didn't like the movie.
No. Well, it's probably be very small.
I like the movie,
but the movie, I like the movie also. But the Penguin has been phenomenal. I highly recommend it to anyone. You know, yeah. It's one of those things that
Lost in Translation.
I think it's going to be good, man. I think it's going to continue. Now the funny thing is, they're talking about a Mr. Freeze in the same concept. I'm okay.
Thanks, Ramon.
I'm all right for Mr. Freeze. You know, and wait and binge. What's up, Ramon? You know, it's one of those things that.
What's up, Ramon? It was Ramon. What's up, Rose?
No, Ramon said, "Wait and binge. I won't be disappointed."
Yeah, for you. So he's talking to you. Caesar said, "Hey, what's up, Ramon?" Like, okay,
no, I'm saying what's up.
Just being polite to his comment.
Polite.
If I'm having to defend Caesar, there's something wrong here.
That's why I retracted my statement. You know,
that's a very good point, my man. That's a good
I'm
point.
the bad guy today.
Yeah, you're the bad guy. So I would love to see a Mr. Freeze. You know, the reason why Penguin's working is because it's very gritty. If they were to do a Mr. Freeze, but I like if they do him in sort of the moody character like the cartoon they did in the 90s, because I like that Freeze. You know,
what's up, Haywood? How you doing, brother?
What's up, Haywood? I'm good with that. So I'm okay with taking it slow, just doing it right, giving us some good scripts, and giving us some great acting. Like,
are you asking for a Freeze series alongside this, or are you talking?
Well, no. There's already talk about a Freeze series.
See, this is what gets me about DC. They're having this much success, and they just okay, let's go and let's do the next thing. Complete the first success. See that it goes well and have something constructed. Don't just, hey, because. Like, the thing that Arrow and the Arrowverse did right. Arrow was going well. They didn't just, hey, let's do the Flash. It was, let's bring the Flash in here. We've got this, whatever. They brought him in. He did his guest spot in Arrow, and it worked. And then he had a series. And they sprung out from the other, but in a much more natural way. So do that. Don't just, well, this is going well, so boom. Like, introduce Freeze in this. Make him a character that interests you, that has you buy into him. And if the people respond well to it, then you've got your thing.
That's what they did with Penguin, right? Exactly, with Batman.
But if you don't have that, you're just, well, they're liking Penguin, so take a shot in it. They like Spider-Man, so let's make a Craven movie. No one wants to see a Craven movie.
Yep.
No one asked for a Craven movie. Sorry.
I want to see a Craven movie, just not by Sony.
Why do you want to see a Craven movie? You want to see Craven in a movie. You don't want to see a Craven movie.
No, you're absolutely right. Craven, Mysterio, actually the Sinister Six in general are good supporting roles in against the Spider-Man, right? That's what we all know him from. Do I want to see a Vulture solo movie? Would I want to see a Mysterio solo movie? Probably not. I'm not even.
I think Craven done correctly can be a solid movie. I feel like it could be. It's not going to, but I feel like if any of the Sinister Six, him and the Goblin could have been a solo movie.
In my opinion, there are two comic book villains that actually could justifiably have their own solo thing that would make sense. One would be the Joker, because his backstory and how he becomes who he is in the comics is nuts. And the other is actually Sinestro, because you have him starting out. Hold on, because he starts out as the good guy. Because he starts out as the good guy. Have him be that. Have that start, and then where he flips. Because that's the only reason it has that interest for you.
Who is the TV on blast? Is that you, Ish?
Yeah, I'm going to fix that in just a second.
Oh,
I'm
okay,
sorry.
all right. I'm just making just making sure.
But
I was like,
at first I was gonna attack you, Dorf, because I know you're a Green Lantern cheerleader over there, fangirl. But you made some valid points. That is true. He does start as a superhero and then turns into a villain. So, and then because you also got the other corp, Thor Corps. I mean, the Thor Corps, the other Lantern Corps, which you have. He's yellow, but you can also introduce the blue. That's a whole thing that could be happened with
Sure.
because of Sinestro. So I can see that 100%.
You could have your own Lantern verse if you want to, but I'm just saying, like, and I'm not asking for a Sinestro film. I'm just saying, if you were going to make a solo film based on a comic villain, those are the two that it really makes sense with enough back behind it to do it.
Is Sandman a villain or a hero or anti
who's
Sandman?
Well,
Sandman?
there's two different Sandmen. Are we talking about
That's
Neil
what I'm trying
Gaiman
to figure
Sandman? I think he's
ASM
talking about
Sandman?
Spider-Man Sandman, not Neil Gaiman Sandman.
Yeah, that would be different because the one we're looking at on Netflix, it's been good.
Well,
No.
the
The
Sandman
Sandman.
series has been Sandman series is fantastic. I
Yes.
love this. I
like
love the
Fish
Sandman
idea.
series.
I like it too.
See,
You know,
Ramon's
I
totally on
think-
with me.
No,
Oh,
it's-
Spider Man.
I
Yeah, I
no,
wouldn't watch that.
he's yeah.
Yeah, he's
He's a
talking
villain.
about the Sandman from Spider-Man.
Yeah, I wouldn't watch it either. You're 100% on that.
Yeah, we wouldn't want. There's very few villain movies we would want to see as a solo film, right? Now, this is the thing. Morbius had massive potential because it draws the vampire people who like vampire stuff and all that stuff. It's a superhero movie.
I want to see it.
I can see that. I can see where Morbius had it really had a massive potential. Even though I didn't mind it, it could have made, if done right, it could have
So,
made a
To
lot.
continue with that, right, what you're saying, real quick, Dorf, have you seen Agatha all along?
I am up to speed with where it's at so
Okay,
far.
and how about you, Caesar?
Yeah. Mhm.
Okay, are you sure?
Well, it comes out on Wednesdays, so yeah. I mean,
Okay. This was a bad joke, guy. I thought you were honestly being just like, nah, that's a bad one. But okay, I can see what you're saying because Agatha all along has been really good. It gives me American horror stories kind of vibes, especially the last episode with the demon, right?
Mhm,
And
mhm.
if they could do Maurice in that kind of tone, look into his backstory on what happened, how he's living, like maybe a miniseries because it can't be too long. Um,
But again, this goes back to what I said about the Arrowverse and how they introduced the Flash. Agatha was introduced in WandaVision, and people liked the character from that,
Correct.
which
Correct.
spawned this series, which is going
Correct.
well. That's how you have to do. Like making the Morbius movie out of nothing made no sense. The people, I get what you're saying about the vampire people and whatever, but the people that had any kind of vested interest in Morbius were this many people. I love Spider-Man. I've read it forever. Have zero interest in the Morbius character. He never did.
I get it. I get it. So you introduce a character as a supporting role, and if that character is well loved, then you go, hey, you know what? I wonder what would happen if we make a solo film on that person's origin story, right? Instead of just because we never were introduced to Morbius in any of the ASM movies, so all of a sudden we have a Morbius. All of a sudden we have a Craven. Now, so what about Venom, right?
Well, that was more of a shot in the dark. Venom had his fans regardless. I think everybody was expecting it at the time, but I think we've seen that flaw by just pushing it out there, like Dorf was saying. But to jump onto another one, who thought that what's his name, John Cena's character, Peacemaker, right, was supposed to be good? I enjoyed it, but it was introduced like Dorf was, like the Suicide Squad. Suicide Squad wasn't as popular, right? But the show itself has been really good. The intro was amazing the first time, or the first two times watching. After that, I kind of got upset. But they're making a new one. But it's been fun. It's a fun ride so far, and I'm hoping it continues in that route. Don't overdo it. Don't overstretch your role right now. You know
But
what I mean?
there's you're right that Suicide Squad wasn't well received, but he was well received in it. That character people really enjoyed in the movie.
Once again, you were introduced in a movie. And
He
Go ahead,
he
Rich.
was in he was. I don't know. I don't even know about that. I can't argue against Dorf. I don't know that anybody really cared for any of the characters in the Suicide Squad. I think that
Well, they all love Harley.
Yeah.
I don't agree with that either.
Whoa.
But it was,
That they
and I
all
actually
love
saw
Harley?
that on the comment. Yeah, I don't agree with that. Like, the reality is, right, I even saw that posted on the Comment Menu podcast. I'm glad that came up with the Harley thing, right? Like, do people really love Harley? Like, her movies flop. No matter who's playing her, they flop, right? Like, the Suicide Squad flopped. The original one sucked and
Hurt the
flopped.
brave.
You know what I mean? Like, do they like, people don't
Yeah.
show up?
Yes, the movies
True.
were no good, but everyone loved Margot Robbie as her, and comic book fans and other fans just appreciated the way she portrayed the character.
Well, I
Again,
think
you can
Harley
have
is
it.
more
Again, I
popular
like Colin
outside of
Farrell's
comic
Colin
community.
Farrell's Bullseye. Colin Farrell's Bullseye was very well done in a terrible Daredevil movie.
Yeah, but Colin Farrell's Bullseye wasn't meant to sell Daredevil. Like, right, they changed the original name of the Birds of Prey movie to Harley Quinn specifically because they were trying to sell that movie based upon Harley Quinn. And I'll give you an example, right? Because, and I'm not hating on Harley Quinn. I don't like Harley Quinn as a character, but because we weren't supposed to like her, right? Like, we actually weren't. The character was made to be comic relief, very idiotic. She wore the Harley Quinn mask. It's Injustice Harley Quinn that people kind of fell in love with, right? The one that was made for the video games that eventually became the character we see in the comic books. Remember, they made her for the Suicide Squad. They made her.
I want to agree and disagree. I agree that I think that one brought more, but I think people loved the Harley Quinn for the Batman animated series first.
They hated that character
I
with that
love that
vaudevillian,
girl.
with that vaudevillian voice and the bells on her head.
Hey,
Jessica,
don't you
big-
disrespect that lady. Rest in peace. Rest in peace.
the big hammer, like that character. And I'm not hating, but if you like if you really look at the history and the precedents, right? There weren't a legion of Harley Quinn fans. No one was dressing like that Harley Quinn. It wasn't until the Injustice video game. No, it was the video game that introduced us to that version of Harley, the Injustice video game, which kind of gave us this.
When did that come out?
Before the movies, that
Well,
DC Injustice.
it was
I don't
probably
remember.
around 17.
Might have been earlier than that, right? Because I know they had a comic series to kind of back it up.
The comic series, I think, was first by a little.
Yeah, the
Because
Injustice.
I remember
Gods Among Us.
watching her in the all the Batman shows. Maybe because I am biased towards not only DC but Batman. I loved everything that had to do with Batman. Obviously, I love all the Robins. I love Red Hood.
Dale, what'd you think of how they introduced her in the new Batman Crusader cartoon?
It's kind of bland.
I just
you
want
guys
to say to
have-
William Russell, you're right. They didn't hate her. They just didn't care about her. Like, nobody cared about Jester Harley. They just didn't.
Yeah,
And they still don't care about her.
Except for
it's
Del.
kind of- It's kind of funny if you watch
I
the Batman cartoon, the new one that came out. It's a period piece, right? So set in the 1940s. The Harley Quinn is not the Harley Quinn we know. She's in black and yellow, all white makeup, still an adjuster, but it's just a thing. It's completely not what you expect the Harley that we know. And it makes me wonder if that Harley was introduced first, would everyone be cosplaying in that Harley? Would everyone be cosplaying that character? Or it all depends on how they were introduced in the movie, then everybody copies whatever that person was. It's funny what would come first.
It's interesting because I think obviously Harley's popularity is really clearly bigger than comic fandom, right? More people who don't read comics, people don't buy Harley Quinn comic books. They're not. They don't sell out. They just don't. No offense. They don't. Obviously, I'm a retailer. I keep an eye. Like, no one is marking for Harley Quinn comic books. She keeps the comic because the character as an IP has become very popular. It's a very popular IP, especially outside of comic fandom. Comic fans don't show up and sell out her movies. They have not. That character's been in 3 movies. 3 movies that are considered box office flops.
Birds of Prey sucked automatically. I enjoyed the first.
Oh, I hated Birds of Prey. I didn't like it at all.
I loved first Suicide Squad.
Oh.
Second one was funny, but that's it. So in general, yeah.
You know, it's true, Ish. The only people who collect Harley books or covers
are the casuals.
Or like someone like Kate's Comics. She loves it. So anything Harley, she'll pick up because she's a Harley fan. But she may occasionally, she might read them. But you're right. They don't sell out. You don't go to LCS and go, sorry, all my Harley books are gone.
She's a great IP, though. As an IP,
100%.
Phenomenal.
I got a hot take right now. I feel like Harley Quinn is more popular than Wonder Woman at this point.
She is.
Okay. I want to see if Ish would agree or disagree because you're really behind her.
You didn't say iconic. You said popular.
Yeah, that's what I said. Yeah, as of right now, she's more popular than Wonder Woman.
She absolutely, because it's the hottest thing. Wonder Woman's been around since the 1940s. I mean,
I will say that Harley Quinn, I think, deserves more cachet than she actually gets from people within the comic community. I don't see why people don't read Harley Quinn's comics, especially when Stephanie Phillips was writing that book. It was really good. I don't see why people don't, to be honest.
Why do you think they don't?
It's a DC book. I think that's no offense to DC fans. DC's a hard sell.
I mean,
I agree with William on that. Well, no, I mean, yes. It's tough, right? Because you got people who love characters like, for instance, Magic, right? Psylocke. Like these are female characters that people like tend to love, right? And you would think Harley would be right there with them in that, that femme fatale group of characters that people, would get commissions for. And he's right, though. You don't see a lot of Harley commissions.
Right.
Zatanna. I see a lot of Zatanna.
Zatanna gets a lot of love.
Yeah, she does. Even though she hasn't really been... Has she been in a movie? She hasn't, right? No,
She's been in a couple of the series.
But animated.
No. That she was in a Smallville episode or 2.
Oh, okay.
I don't remember if she was in any of the Arrowverse stuff. I feel like she probably was, but I can't think of it at the moment.
But see, that's a very good example of the Zatanna who's yet to be in a major film. It's a very loved character, right? And it makes you wonder what will happen once she actually gets once she get a major role on TV, where everyone starts dressing up as her for Halloween. All the cosplays of Zatanna, all the top hats and the skirt. I mean, that skirt and the outfit she wears. It's funny now. We talk about how movies don't really move the needle on books anymore, but it sure the hell moves on cosplay. I'll tell you that. I mean, how many what are the Daddy's Little Monster shirts that we see after the movie came out? How many women were dressed up as Harley? Oh my! It was a Harley fest everywhere you went to any kind of con. So
but it's interesting, right? Because the cosplay community isn't really fueled strictly by comic books. So many people in that community have never read a comic. You know what I mean? In the cosplay community, just never read a comic, but they, enjoy cosplay. They're part of cosplay groups, and you know what I mean? They watch a movie or they watch a television show. I have a friend who's huge Justice League of Western New York cosplay, and one of her major cosplay characters is Scarlet Witch, and she's strictly movie Scarlet Witch. Because that's her introduction to Scarlet Witch,
Right. Let me ask you, Ish, did you go watch Joker?
I did.
Oh, okay. Let's get your opinion on it. Unbiased and everything.
Yeah, what's your opinion? First of all, did you go first night, next day? Where did you go?
First night.
Did you go for Lady Gaga?
No.
All right. How was the theater? Was the theater packed?
No.
That's what I meant.
But I went really early. I went before people got out of work, and you know what I mean. Like I closed the shop and went. You know what I mean.
Okay. And so
it's weird. I answered this on my stream earlier. It's really tough. It's really it's all right.
Let's do it. Let's do it.
So
There's two.
there's two answers I'm going to give you.
I
One,
have two questions for you too.
one, it was extremely terrible, and two, it was extremely brilliant. And it's weird, right? Because from an artistic perspective, if you take the first film and you look at it like just the artistry of like Dog Day Afternoon, just this deep dive into this psychological homicidal maniac who kills people, then the second movie is a brilliant follow-up to the first movie. It's brilliant. It's great follow-up to that movie. If you go in as someone who's a comic fan and you know that these characters come from comic books, and you kind of with that in mind, and you watch the second one, it's terrible.
Yeah, answer my questions.
It's terrible.
So my question was going to be, is it horrible because it's not the DC movie we should have or expect, or was it a good movie? If they had renamed it to a different name, like some crazy ass stupid name, and then just watch it as a regular movie, it would have been good, right?
If I told someone who never heard of Joker and Harley Quinn, go watch Joker 1 and Joker, that's who I would tell. I would say just go watch Joker 1 and Joker 2. That's who I would recommend it to. Someone who never heard of these characters ever, has no idea that it's attached to a comic book or came from a DC comic. Those are the people I would say, hey, go see that movie.
DJ,
and you'll enjoy it.
Your review, DJ, in the comment section.
See, but there's plenty of people who liked the first one, who are comic book people, said, yeah, it's not my Joker, but I enjoy. I didn't enjoy the movie because I went in wanting to see a Joker thing. And that's why I didn't enjoy the first one. But there's plenty of people who, like me, knew what they were going to hopefully see and saw something completely different and still said Joker was great.
So when I watched it, I was sitting there thinking, this is dope. Like just as a standalone.
Yeah, as its own thing, not the
depiction of a homicidal, psychological type. Like this is really this is dope. It's like artistic. It's a different take on it. And I'm like, okay, but it's Joker, so it's like, you know what I mean?
But all those, so we are in agreement there completely. But all those people that did enjoy and love that movie are the ones who are either not going at all to this one, or just trashing it from the moment they saw it. So those people who went in and had the same love for it and whatever that you're talking about, and that I said, it wasn't a bad movie. It just wasn't what I went going to see. Like I went to see a Joker movie and that wasn't it. The movie itself was good for what it was. But those people who are not going to it now, or who are just completely demolishing it now, are the people who really liked that one. So where's
not all of them though?
There? That's what I don't get.
But not all of them though, because you have to keep in mind the thing that made that movie successful, right? The first movie, and I had a lot of conversations about this with people who know nothing about comics. The thing that made that movie successful isn't comic fans. It's the overwhelming amount of people who watched this movie and had no idea who Joker or Harley was.
Where are they now?
Those Dog Day Afternoon fans.
This is my question. Where are those people now? They're the people who, according to your review that you just gave, that should go in and enjoy this one just as much as that one, but they're not going. So what is the disconnect there from the first one to the second one?
I want to hear rumors.
Pandemic. I just don't think, the mom who had the kids who got time now cares. She don't have time now. Right? There's no pandemic. There's no shutdown. There's no craziness in the world going on. I don't care. Whereas now, people are talking about this Joker movie. I don't have anything to do. Let me stream it. I don't have anything better to do. Like, I just think it was a different time period. It was just a different time. I don't think that there's first of all, I don't think there wasn't any hype going into that movie then. Certainly not now. You know what I mean? But I think there are certain factors for sure. And I don't know. It's still soon. It's still really soon to tell. And you got a lot of people that are review hounds. A lot of people might have looked forward to Joker and heard bad reviews and was like, I'll pass, or I'll wait till it comes on, Netflix or whatever the case may be.
That's me.
Go ahead.
He was saying he's no longer waiting for HBO Max. I knew from day one that I would not watch it before it's on HBO.
Ish, I have a question. How much of the music, which am I correct that it's modern music, right? It's not an original score. It's all they're singing songs.
There's one or two original songs, but it's pretty much modern music.
That
makes sense as well.
it makes sense in the movie, right? So it
Mhm.
plays movie. So you would say it's not so much the musical that killed it. What is the actual thing that you, in your opinion, killed it? Writing, acting, cinematography. What was for you when you're going? It just missed the mark. What is it?
Well, I don't think it missed the mark. I think it missed the mark for like I can suspend my disbelief in some senses. So I can say that as a pair, the movies are brilliant.
Right.
I'd watch it again. I'd watch it as one piece. Like I think they're brilliant as a pair. So I guess what made me also, on the other hand, look at it and be like, it's okay. So I don't want to spoil anything, but
Go ahead.
what I left that film feeling like, okay, there's some things morally that I expect to happen, right? Like I expect the bad guy in the end to get what the bad guy deserves, which I don't want to ruin that. But I think that morally to end, and I'm not saying that doesn't happen. What I'm saying is all the people that I felt like should have had something happen to them in that film, it didn't happen to them. I think Dwarf kind of knows what I'm talking about. Like it just didn't happen to them. And the things that do happen actually don't really happen. Right? So, for example, there's no violence in the film. Even though there's plenty of violence in the film, none of it actually happens. Like none of the things actually happen until the one thing that happens, which Dwarf, I think you know what I'm talking about. Like none of it happens. It's all just
In their head.
this guy who's crazy and singing, having musicals in his head where he's imagining things happening that aren't really happening.
So let me ask you though,
and there's some people in this movie that it left me disappointed because there's some people in this movie that really deserve Joker to be Joker and do some Joker stuff to him. You know what I mean? I think Dor, you've seen it, right?
I have not.
No, he hasn't. He has not.
Oh, I thought you did.
No, none of us.
That's what I'm just smirking. You're saying I know. I'm just like,
I left disappointed. Like, yeah, like he was supposed to. And this person was supposed to, all these people were supposed to be lined up to get what they deserved.
But let me ask you, Ish, but you would say, you know what? When it comes out on Max, watch it. You would recommend that, right?
I would tell anyone to watch, absolutely. But I would say watch without, even if I walked into Birds of Prey and watched that whole movie, I would leave and tell everyone who's a comic book fan, watch the movie and say you hate it.
But at least watch it.
Absolutely.
Right.
It makes sense. I mean, at least somebody will go to DC to make something else. But it's just like
it makes sense. It makes sense. Watch a movie and then criticize it. Then you can say, well, when people criticize movies and you go, well, did you watch it? Well, no.
If you're a comic fan, you should watch every comic movie and then say you hate it or you love it. But if we get, so I would just want to say this really quick. Most of us grew up in an era where we begged for these movies.
Yeah.
Where we couldn't wait to get these movies. Like we're getting these movies. Go watch them. Right. Watch them and say they suck.
Right. See, but
there was a time where we couldn't even say it.
There's still things I haven't watched that I don't know that I'm going to. The Rosario Dawson DC show that was only one season. I don't even know what it's called.
You're not watching all those stupid shows. I don't even know she had a DC show.
There are things that I never asked for these, but they did it. Like I never asked for Guardians of the Galaxy had it not tied into other things. I might not have seen it, but it did, and therefore it made it.
Yeah, what DC show did Rosario Dawson?
What DC show was Rosario Dawson?
We talking about?
She came out in Daredevil. I mean,
she was
no. She had her own. She was the star of a DC series.
Are you sure?
It was only one season.
DMZ.
Yeah. There you go.
Oh, DMZ, the DC book. Oh, well.
Yeah, but DMZ has nothing to do with.
Has nothing to do with anything. I did not watch that. The same way I do.
I also
I think I watched the was the DC
episode.
Film, right?
I watched the first episode of Werewolf by Night. Only the first episode.
Only one.
Only episode.
Oh, that's the only episode?
Yeah, that's it.
Oh, then I guess I didn't finish it.
Oh, see, I think personally that's a travesty because I love Werewolf.
I know, right?
I think it was done well. I think it gave us what we wanted, and that's it.
Who wanted? Like I don't care. Like
I would love to have a Werewolf by Night character. I mean, I would love to have a Man Thing. I would love to have a swamp.
Yes, I know about your obsession with man things. That's a separate conversation.
So I'm in the middle here, right? And I'm happy to be in the middle. It's a happy place for me to be in that. I understand where Dorf is saying. Like, you know, I'm not marking for these characters. These are characters that I wasn't looking for and didn't expect. If they happen to be good and I can enjoy them, cool. But if they don't, I'm not disappointed because I wasn't looking for them. And I understand that perspective. I don't mean to put words in your mouth. And I'm of the same perspective.
What I was saying.
I'm of the same perspective. However, what the MCU has been built upon, right? And even with Dell mentioning Peacemaker earlier, right? Is like nobody was looking for Iron Man. And then we get a great film that leads into the Avengers. Like people weren't looking for Iron Man. That's not the first Marvel movie someone's gonna say, hey, that's the one I want made. Maybe Udorf, because you know what I mean? But that would not like you might say Green Lantern for DC, but that's not gonna be overwhelmingly the resounding, you know.
It's not going to be the first choice.
It ain't be the fifth choice.
But he's not like a Z-list character. Iron Man is on that.
He wasn't an A-list character.
No, he's on that third tier traditionally.
I mean, again,
so it's not like you didn't start with Guardians of the Galaxy.
You didn't.
Guardians of the Galaxy
wasn't on the list.
Right.
Wasn't even going to make the list.
Exactly.
Nobody, 90% of most people who even read comics had no idea who Guardians of the Galaxy.
That's my point. So you didn't start with that. You started with someone who is much closer to the top, not the top, not the things that you've already. I mean, again, we'd already had Spider-Man. We'd already had X-Men. You had your first real comic book movies. You had Blade. But again, Blade people didn't realize was a comic book movie when Blade came out. Like the majority of people who saw it. Yes, it helped save Marvel and whatever, but people didn't realize when they went to see Blade that they were seeing a comic book movie. They went to see a badass Wesley Snipes fighting vampires movie.
Well, there wasn't a marketing machine on the comic side behind it, right? Like there was no let's pump out a bunch of Blade comics because there's a Blade movie. It didn't happen. So Blade had still been the dude who popped up in Dracula #10. You know what I mean? And nobody knew.
But exactly. But what I'm saying here is you had Spider-Man. So you already had the #1 Marvel that you would have expected. That already happened.
Not before Blade, but yes.
Before Iron Man.
Yeah.
You already had that, and you already had X-Men, who was 1A of DC. Of Marvel. Like
what year was
X-Men was 1.
What year was Tomb of Dracula? 19. No, oh, I'm sorry, the movie Blade. What year was that?
95, 97?
Late 80s. Just what the fuck am I talking about? 94?
No, 95, 97.
No, it was 96 or 97. It was
okay. None of us at the time. I would. It's like I had a
1998.
1998. Wow. I wonder how much did that movie move the needle on a Tomb of Dracula in 1998.
I don't know.
I doubt it did.
Because eBay was just starting up around that time, wasn't it? So what was it?
So who? Right. I mean, who's going? Oh, my Tomb of Dracula. No CGC. Right. So it was raw. You had it raw or the top loader or whatever it was.
The only person
who
was probably retailers were the only ones that were probably making bank.
LCS. Someone like, oh my.
Yeah, and guess who wasn't going nuts and buying them off the shelves once they racked the prices? Anyone.
I don't even think retailers were even thinking in those terms of let me mark this book up because of the movie.
So when did this happen? That's my question. When did the LCS
was successful?
So I think certainly the more people got online, right? The birth of online and online sales sites, but not just sales sites, online period. Because now we're tracking comics, right? Now we're starting to see who has what. Now forums are popping up and people are starting to talk about these things. So I think a lot of ingredients went into that pot of, comics becoming more valuable for reasons outside of rarity and just sheer collectability.
It still, I think, was the hit of the MCU because once it became something that was not just liked by comic fans and they were connecting it to these are comic characters, because again, Blade didn't have that. And Spider-Man was a hit and whatever, but it didn't have the internet behind it. The MCU came, it had the internet behind it, and everyone suddenly being like, "Holy crap!" I mean, $800 million, $700 million, $1 billion. Like that's when all of a sudden there is money to be made from these books from these people who
Yeah,
are
but
not us, who are not
while
us.
I
Been
Well, I
collecting.
think you're right. I do think that the MCU was a part of that, a major ingredient, right? It's a major
That's
new
exactly what I'm
ingredient to
saying.
the gumbo, but I don't think it was the catalyst, right? Because if you track books like Ultimate Fallout 4, which dropped in 2011, and while the MCU was well on his way, that book's rise had nothing to do with the MCU or even Into the Spider-Verse.
Correct. At
Like
all.
it just started to incline. Like I watched and tracked that book. It just
It
started to
was a
increase
new
in
Spidey
value,
character.
Hold
See,
on.
but
and it took a while.
Come on. I gotta say this. I'm trying to find out when the first eBay book was sold, or the first comic book was sold on eBay. Look what comes out here. I like collectibles.
Look
Our
at our
boy
guy.
Greg comes
Our
out
boy
of one of
Greg's.
the. Yeah, I want to give a shout out real quick to my
Give
boy.
us Greg. Yeah, stay
Hey, that's
safe, Greg.
cool.
He's in Florida right now, dealing with
Yeah,
this. With this
hopefully
stuff.
everybody out down there get safe and stuff. But that's cool, man. He's just popped out
That's
going.
okay. So this is my question to you guys, to the panel, and to the guys in the to everyone in the comments. Which movie or TV show in that's Marvel, DC, doesn't fucking make a difference? Which movie do you think was the movie that moved the needle the most on a book?
Walking Dead.
Yep, Walking Dead.
Wow, you know what? I think you nailed that one.
It was Walking Dead.
yeah,
Right.
well, it wasn't
He brought
us.
that up.
Yeah, he brought it up right at the right time of your question.
Yeah.
Because
Same thing with the one, yeah.
that was the catalyst. I don't think you can argue that at all.
How much was
everything
Walking
else-
Dead before the show came out? Let's put it that way, right? What do you? I mean, I'm going to ask you, Ish, because you were in the business. What was Walking Dead before the even show was even announced? Was it just
a
like,
daughter book?
was it a regular price value, or was it number one? I mean,
Yeah, it wasn't this crazy. It wasn't so. I mean,
you can find it. You can get it.
You can find it. The problem is that there's a lot of things that go in because Walking Dead is correct. The show did move it. I mean, at one point in time, I think it high 9.8 sold for like 12.5, right? So that was crazy, right? But there's a lot of ingredients in Walking Dead too. The print run is dumb low, stupid low. Like we did like 1,500 or something like that. It's really dumb. 1,500, 15K, 15,000. I can't remember. It's really low print run, really low. And the people who did read it had a rabid fan base. Like comic shops could guarantee, okay, well, if I don't sell anything, I have Walking Dead on pull lists. You know what I'm saying? It had a rabid fan base. But yeah, when that show came out, it really drove. And I'm surprised, right? Because the thing is, it didn't drive people from outside of the comic community to go look for that book, which is generally what causes the big spikes, is that people come in from outside thinking they could cash in on like let me go get an Iron Man first James Rhodes or something. You know what I mean? While the comic community is selling it to you at inflated prices. You know what I mean? Because of FOMO, it was people in the community who became like hunting for this book. That was
you'd already had things in the MCU doing well, and those books going up because of it. So you had something to show you, hey, this is going on, and then people who were inside the community were like, hey, this is taking off, and people don't know it yet, so I'm gonna get this because I know it, and then I can
Walking
take
Dead
advantage.
is a very good, and Dorf is right, because when you really think about it, right, and I've said this before, Walking Dead is arguably, especially it's at the very least for the 21st century, but arguably the most important independent book
of our time.
Right? Because you can count them, right? Like you got TMNT #1, right? You got that Albedo, a Cerberus.
You would say of this modern.
Of the modern era, it's certainly the first independent 21st century indie grill. Period.
How long was the book?
Are you counting Spawn? Because
it's more important than Spawn.
No. I'm not saying it's not more. It is absolutely more important than Spawn, but I'm saying Spawn is on that list because while Image now, I mean, isn't really the independent that it was when it released Spawn.
Yeah, I think
It's in that top.
If you're talking sheer importance, right? Spawn and Youngblood being the first Image book, even though it has no value, and Spawn being the most consistent Image book, the longest running Image title, right next to the Savage Dragon. Absolutely. If you're talking,
so that's what I was just adding it to your list of impactful from our generation indies.
But I don't know if Spawn had the same impact as Walking Dead.
No, not because it's not even close. Not even close.
If Spawn had a TV series,
it did
before The Walking.
It was crappy.
Are you talking about the cartoon or are you talking about the actual show?
HBO.
The cartoon? I mean, the cartoon was phenomenal. But if they had a live action TV show, like the way The Walking Dead came out.
No, they had a bombed film.
Yeah, the movie.
If the film had done well, it could
have done a second one, and they probably would have done a third one and all that. I guess my other question is, Dale, I mean, you have it up. How long was a book out, or you might know, Ish? How long was a book out before the TV show? Because the TV show started, I think, in 2010.
Walking Dead?
How many? Yeah. How can you check that real quick?
I can't
when
remember.
The Walking Dead, when did the book actually come out?
So the Walking Dead show came out in
not the show, the book.
The show came out 2010, I think.
Okay, so to YouTube Addict, let me just kick it with you real quick, because so you got Invincible, you got Saga. If you're talking modern era, right, 21st century, you got Invincible, you got Saga, you have Walking Dead. These are all important independent 21st century independent books. Are all very important, right? Really important, big books. Lumberjanes. I'm just kind of trying to think of the indie books that are really important that dropped in the 21st century, right? But there's two books when you look at their impact after dropping that changed the game. Walking Dead changed the game. It's one of the first books, movie fever pitch wise. It just changed the game, completely changed the game. It's one of the books that you can say is responsible for all of these books going up in value because of films, right? Walking Dead. And then the next one is Something Is Killing the Children. And the reason why I say that is because no book in the history of comic books has seen the increase in value in the period of time in any book that you can name in all of comics has seen such an increase in value in the period of time that Something Is Killing the Children.
2003.
It's
2003?
Yeah. So it was 7 years between the
all the people
the actual
that read,
release of
so what's 7 times 12?
To the release of the show.
What's 7 times 12?
84.
So 84 issues
before the show even came out. So all those people were like, that's why you had the people who actually read, and they were going, oh, wait a minute, that didn't happen in the book. Wait a minute, she died too soon. She died too late. Who's this character? Those people already had that leapfrog, right? They already had the heads up of what's going to happen, and it makes me wonder. Go ahead, Dale, because I'm going to.
No, I want to before I forget. DJ's question is really good. So, do you think the Walking Dead TV show and comics ramped up Marvel to do what they're doing now with shows and movies, comics?
Yes.
I think so. They saw the tidal wave that The Walking Dead, and I do mean tidal wave that The Walking Dead caused. There was talk shows talking about the show you just watched. There was podcasts. There was spin-offs.
Every show that has a talk show that talks about the show you just watched owes that to The Walking Dead. Game of Thrones 100%. Did it. Mandalorian did it. I don't want to cut you. I got to say this, Caesar. When I said The Walking Dead is the most important independent book of the 21st century, I don't think y'all understand what I mean. We are getting Star Wars. It is pop culture. In 40 years, there will be Walking Dead reboots. Like Walking Dead is here to stay. There are phone app games. It's here. When these shows dry up in this Walking Dead universe, which is what they're calling, there's like 6 shows out. When they drop and they're done and they go away and people are over the Walking Dead craze, 30 years from now, someone's going to reboot Walking Dead. They're going to start telling another story in that Walking Dead universe. It's here. It's here to stay.
How do you think, how comparable, or will it never stand a chance if Something Is Killing the Children TV show that hits? Will it ever match up to a Walking Dead phenomenon?
No, I don't think so. If it does, okay, cool. Do I think it will? No, this is stuff that's generational. You get a Star Wars or a Star Trek once in a generation, right? Like you don't get these things, overnight every 10, 12 years. You don't get that. Like that's what we're talking about, right? Like I think Something's Killing Children to be dope. I think it'll be cool. Do I think it'll be what The Walking Dead is on
to
TV?
this generation, though, but to this generation, remember, there's a lot of youngins that were a little too young. With 2010, I mean, these kids are older now. Now, if they do Something's Killing Children, will it be their Walking Dead? What The Walking Dead was to us?
So here's the other piece that you don't have. The Walking Dead took an existing monster that everyone knew, that everyone was familiar with, and took that thing that most of those people were familiar with, but thought it was cheesy and stupid, and made it something completely different. Because for me, I never was into zombie stuff. I saw 28 Days Later, and I was like, that was cool. That was the best zombie thing I'd ever seen.
Mm-hmm.
And then I saw The Walking Dead, and now, like, anything zombie related, I'm wanting to watch because it totally hooked me on a genre that I had zero care in the world because they made it interesting in a way that it never had been prior.
Because The Walking Dead weren't the zombies.
Fact. When I heard, now, remember, I was not aware that, I was one of those people, I was not aware that The Walking Dead, I got very early on going, oh, it's based on an Image comic book. Okay, got it. When I showed my wife in 2010, there's this show coming out based on this comic book, and it's about zombies. She's like, I'm out. I don't do zombie movies. I don't like zombie movies. I don't do it. I said, let's just watch one episode. Guess what? We watched all the way to the Negan era, then we stopped watching. My wife, who gives two shits about one, comic book movies, and two, zombies, she was there with me. Because why? It was a drama. It was a drama. And like you said, Dorf, they wrote it very well. It was the scenes. It was suspense. All of it. Love, death, revenge, anger. It had every single emotion. That's why it worked so well.
Question. Of everybody here, even in the comment section, who has finished watching The Walking Dead? Or at least caught up with everything?
I stopped.
Wait, you're talking all the spin-offs and everything?
No, not spin-offs, just the main.
The actual Walking Dead.
I watched the entire regular series. I've seen every episode of Fear the Walking Dead. I've seen the first season of Daryl Dixon. So I've seen pretty much all of it.
So, okay, I see a couple of people say me. I stopped once they killed Glenn. So
I got a little bit past that. I'm
I want to. I want to restart it. I really do. I want to continue again.
What'd you say, Dale? You cut off. You stopped when they killed who?
Glenn.
Stephen Yeun.
I was still on there.
I
stopped. I stopped after the whole. I stopped after Negan. Believe it or not, I think I literally stopped when Negan was captured.
Oh, okay.
That's it. I
stopped when they killed the Sentry.
So,
yeah, literally. Poor that dude, Glenn got killed twice.
It's not just that it was so well written in the drama. The casting, the acting that they got. I'm sorry, but John Bernthal crushed that role.
Yes, dude. I hated him, liked him.
You believed every moment, everything that came from him. Andrew Lincoln was.
I've always been impressed with Carol as an actor,
Mm-hmm.
and the guy who played the guy with the tiger also really impressed me as well.
Ezekiel
as an actor, but Carol was like she was great. Carol was so great.
The only actor that actually I didn't really care for was Rick's wife.
What I loved about the show, what made it so gripping, is there was this episode where I think the episode was called "You're Not the Good Guys," and they had they had a woman on there. She actually played. She was actually in the original Dune movie from the 80s, but they were revisiting an episode where they had went into some saviors. They went into a savior stronghold and killed them in their sleep. They actually stabbed several members of the saviors in their sleep. One of them was the girl's husband, and then there also was a situation where Daryl rolled up on these saviors, and without asking any questions, he just blew them up with a rocket launcher. So they end up getting kidnapped by these saviors, and as they're being tortured and questioned, the woman looks at Carol and she goes, "You know, you're not the good guys, right?" And it's just like, whoa, like, wait a minute. She's like, you guys killed my husband in his sleep. You didn't even ask him any questions. Your friend with the motorcycle there blew up a convoy of our friends. You know what I mean? Like, you guys understand that you're not the good guys. And it's like, whoa, this is really what it is.
There's
like,
a lot of interesting things.
like,
I
this
think
is what it is.
the first scene that really got me like, oh shit. I mean, there've been a lot of kids that died, but the part where they told her, like, a little girl, to look at the flowers, right? And Carol did what she did. There was pictures. What's it called? There was T-shirts made, right, with that phrase. Look at the flower or something like that. I'm like, it was that scene itself. It's pretty iconic.
To me, it was when what's her face came out of the barn.
She came out the barn.
Sophia.
I mean, that I think so. When Sophia, which sucks because it's my daughter's name, I'm like, well, when Sophia came out of the barn, and she came out all slow, and everyone's like,
I was like, yes,
because you were expecting it, right? Everyone knew it. You're like, it's got to be her, right? I mean, that's where she's at this whole time. But we know what's happening, and who ended up fucking shooting her? Was it Carol or was it John?
I think it was
Shane. It was Shane. But Carol has the highest kill count.
Shane he just blasted her, and everyone got all pissed off him. He's like, "What the fuck you want to do?"
So I haven't read the books, right? Is that true? Daryl doesn't exist in the books.
No, he's AMC's way of making all of the money, right? And I just read an interview with with Robert Kirkman. The most popular character in Robert Kirkman's created television series is a character he did not create and does not own. And what a way for the networks to just kind of really get the bag, so to speak.
Well,
but I just
to be fair, it was Glenn, and then Glenn died.
Glenn was not more popular than Daryl.
Was. He's talking about was.
I'm saying people loved the character of Glenn more than they did Daryl.
No.
Yes. And Daryl became number one when Glenn was gone.
No.
Yes.
No.
I want to see Daryl was number.
Women were in love with this Daryl dude. Like, he had been acting in tons of films.
Okay, hold on.
Beforehand, and they never looked at him.
Talking about which one they wanted to take to bed. No one was talking about which one they wanted to take to bed. I'm telling you, the character that people love, if Daryl had died then and not Glenn, you wouldn't have had the uproar that you had because Glenn died.
No. Everyone didn't like the way Glenn was killed. I mean, that was like, Negan. That dude don't give up. He didn't give any.
Glenn was not the dude. You might have a man crush, Dora. I'm just messing with you. Actually,
I agree. Daryl. I think Daryl was more popular. 100%.
At that point in time, I feel like Glenn was more popular.
I think you're looking back with these glasses that saw what came after. Because
I never really cared for Glenn's character. Didn't move the needle for me one way or the other.
For you,
but that's only because of no offense to anyone. I didn't really care for Glenn's character because there were instances where I thought Glenn should be. I'm gonna push them tears back up in your eyes, dude. Like, just push them tears back up in your eyes and like, dude, handle that. That's the type of person I am. Like, I just really am a very, and maybe it's insensitive of me, but there's a lot of times I felt like Glenn should have just pushed them tears back up in his eyes, bro. Like, it's not the apocalypse, bro. Like, push them back up in your eyes, bro. Like, stop. But
the dude was a pizza delivery boy.
And now you're in a zombie apocalypse.
You're right.
Character development right there.
And he did that. That's what I'm saying. It's like he was a pizza delivery boy who got himself to where he did. He wasn't this biker who grew up with Merle as a brother. He wasn't this sheriff or police officer. He was a pizza delivery boy.
He definitely wasn't Carol.
AMC did real well, or the comics did real well for last, I want to say 10 episodes that I saw. Glenn was supposed to die a long time ago, right? Like you should have died when the zombies were next to him in the fucking building.
He was weak.
When he was underneath the trash fucking picture. I don't know how he escaped. I can't remember how he escaped anymore. Like, that guy should have been dead. Like, oh shit, this is the scene where he's gonna get killed. Because that was the big thing, right? The rumor was, oh, we all know Glenn's gonna die, but people like me who didn't read, we didn't know exactly when. So I'm like, oh shit, this is the part. Fuck, he's a diary, damn it. And then
I remember when people were telling me, you know, that Sophie never died, right? She got together with Carl. They grew up. She had kids. Blah blah blah. And I was like, oh, that's interesting. Oh, and do you know that so and so when he died, he didn't die that way. As a matter of fact, he didn't die till way later in the book. I'm like, well, they can't do it from screen to screen to screen, from page to page. It just doesn't work out that way sometimes. But
Now, Caesar, I just wanted to
Tyrese
say
was much
something
more of
to
a
you.
badass in the comic than he was in the show.
Yeah, he was. I just
What were
wanted
you
to say
saying?
something that's something you spoke to earlier, Caesar, about comparing The Walking Dead versus something that's killing the children and its longevity as like a pop culture you know, thing. Think about what we're talking about here, right? Like, we're not even talking about Dawn of the Living Dead, Day of the Living Dead, movies that like are, yes, we got movies out of them, but we didn't get marketable franchises, right?
correct.
Like The Walking Dead is a marketable franchise just in title. Do you think something is killing the children? Is this market like the name in name, right? Is just something that you can market and be like, boom, we can just do a whole universe from this. Yes, we can.
It was
We
called
can
Nightmare on Elm
absolutely.
Street.
We absolutely can market something is killing the children, but can it become Star Wars? Like, can we shorten it like TWD and just, you know what I mean? Is it something from a monetary perspective? Can we say, okay, this is something we see in 20 years, everybody embracing, and you know, kids, and I mean, maybe we move
It
that
all
way, or
depends how it's written. If it's shitty writing and shitty acting, it's gonna
I
be
think it could be
forgotten.
great.
If it's written and it's acted well, or it could be the DMZ. It could be Why the Last Man. It could be, you know, it could be any of those that just one and done and just never heard from again.
No,
Or
but I
it could
mean, we
be
have some really dope things that
it could,
exist, right? That have been
it
put
could be
out that are
Sweet Tooth.
amazing. That are
Sweet
Sweet Tooth
Tooth.
is great, though. By the way, we could
I love Sweet Tooth.
it could be these things that we put out that are really amazing, but there's not something that we can market as like this universe that becomes a pop culture icon simply because it's called Something Is Killing the Children.
I hear you. I get you.
You know
So
what I mean?
GG
The
has a
closest
question.
other thing you have right now from literary is the Hunger Games, and that's only because they can go and do this year's Hunger Games and this year's thing and kind of do it out
Stranger
like that.
Things is close as well.
What?
I think Stranger Things is also very close.
Stranger Things.
Except Stranger Things is so tied to that city and that town where it is. It doesn't open up the universe. Like The Walking Dead can continue on forever because the zombie apocalypse happened everywhere at the same time.
And
You
I
don't
can
have
always
to
just
follow these same
revisit it
characters.
and write a story with a brand new character.
The fact that the Hunger Games started in the 75th Hunger Games, or the 74th, is why you can still do that a bunch of times over. They already did the prequel now with Following Snow, and you can do it with so many others because it's so many other years of Hunger Games, and guarantee you that's not the only time that they didn't agree with sending their kids to die. Like, that can and probably will end up being similar, but it's still not going to be on the grand scale that The Walking Dead already is. The amount of spin-offs, whether it be a one-off season, they had this one about a submarine, which I didn't even know happened, that I have to catch up with. Like, there are so many Walking Dead things.
There's a Walking Dead in a submarine.
There's a single season of Walking Dead, Fear the Walking Dead. I don't remember what it exactly was called. Literally in a submarine, and I think it's 8 episodes or something like that. And that was it.
Don't get me wrong. These shows can also jump the shark. Let's be honest. They could get a little silly,
For sure.
stupid, and go, all right, guys. And that's when the executives go, okay, look at the numbers this week. They're like, they're not good. I wonder why. Oh, I don't know. This is our 10th spinoff, and we're doing zombies on a submarine. Okay, maybe we should just kind of
It just goes away for a couple years and then comes
But
back.
that's the thing. They did that with The Walking Dead. It got to a point where it's okay, we've reached it with this one. They had Fear the Walking Dead. They got there. Okay, we've reached it with this.
They got there fast with Fear.
Yeah, it did.
Fear Walking Dead was 7 years.
I did watch
7
Fear the
seasons.
Walking Dead, and I dropped after a while on that show as well.
Fear the Walking Dead got ridiculous and still went on for a year or two after that.
A lot of characters I couldn't stand.
It was kind of great. It was like
Fear the Walking
I
Dead.
hate
In Fear the Walking Dead, it felt kind of like a comic book because people came back to life.
Some of the characters I'm like,
But-
oh, God, man, you're so annoying. There's nothing worse I hate on TV shows when they're annoying characters. Like, oh, just die already. I want your brain to be eaten because I want you off the show because you're annoying. But for
So
some
you're
reason,
saying
that was
if
Liberty.
Jar Jar Binks had been on a series,
like the daughter in the Fear of the Walking Dead, whatever that girl's name, whatever her name was. She was
I remember these
annoying.
stupid little mini shows.
I
Alicia,
hated it.
Yeah.
Yes, she was annoying at first. You're like, and of course she toughened up and became a little badass and all that. But and it's whining and oh, what's going on? And it's too much
So
of that shit.
that's the actual great possibilities we have with things like the MCU, right? Like for instance, and I'm going to give you an example because I know Dell, shout out to you. Dell's a big fan of Agatha all along.
Oh hell
And
yeah!
what we
I
potentially
enjoy it.
have within the Marvel universe is we have the possibility for a mini universe, right? That if
Sure.
that could be very popular, that could
Mhm.
catch on and have a life of its own with this Wanda Ville that she's created. And these obviously we've seen a character. I thought it was kind of shady that character died. You know what I mean? That I was like, wow. You know what I mean? They just straight killed
That
her. Like,
right,
yo,
right. I'm enjoying Agatha. Me and my wife watch it, and we enjoy it for what it is. It's fun. It's 30 minutes and gone, and it's like,
And you can watch
damn it!
tomorrow.
It kind of
But
makes
like
you
this
go like,
Wandaville universe is interesting, right? Like the
Oh, yeah.
town still exists.
I was telling
We
Jordan,
don't talk
They-
about
they
Wanda.
remember, they
Have a
know
whole
who
unit,
Wanda
yeah.
is.
Yeah, like they
Yeah.
have this whole because she created a town and
Yeah.
she held everybody hostage there, and now they live there. And it's like, yo, y'all can really build on this. And while none of us may like it or enjoy it, there may be a market for that. And there may be a bunch of people who are watching WandaVision because there's some loyal Wanda fans. And I was just reading an article about how these loyal fans were upset that Wanda isn't in Agatha all along. And then they watched it and they're 100% behind Agatha all along. And it's like, okay, do you have a Wanda universe within this MCU? And if you do, are there potential for other miniature universes within the MCU that people latch onto?
With Agatha though, I was more into it because it's like a American Horror Story. I was telling Dorf earlier. Like it's not giving you a regular comic show. It's like it's Halloween based, right? It's witch based, and I'm enjoying all that. I like the demon at the very end of the last episode. I'm like, heck
You just spoiled it for me.
Huh?
I'm only doing the thumbs down because I'm waiting for you to sing down, 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 road, down. I'm just waiting for you to break out.
So I don't know if you saw what I put is on my profile where the Tolkien joke from Cartman.
Oh, I saw that.
Dude, everybody was. But it was funny because honestly, like I don't know what you're talking about. And then she was playing real well, and it was.
What's nuts? You don't understand. Like we're watching the show. Of course, I'm up to speed. We watched that show, and all of a sudden, I heard on my daughter's phone the other day, yesterday, I think, that song was playing. Like, are you watching it again on your phone? No, it's a reel that someone else put on. So,
it's
like,
TikTok.
That song is hitting everywhere. Like,
I liked it. It's catchy. I'm going to tell you something.
But if Agatha all along, this thing that who wants an Agatha show? Why are they doing this? Oh, MCU is doing this stupid shit again. All of a sudden, this is hitting everywhere, and it's not one of these big things. Like that's
it's because what we talked about earlier. Because she was introduced in WandaVision, and she was kind of a fun love character who turned out to be this badass bitch, and I kind of left you wanting a little more of a little bit of Agatha, right? So they were smart to give us. I'm going to give you guys what you wanted, right?
And an important background character in Marvel who is not
exactly. Now, mind you, imagine if WandaVision never came out at all, and they came out with a Agatha all along show, and you're like, you mean Agatha Harkness? Why would we want to show? Well, of course, we're all going to watch it, but the fact that she was introduced,
and there's a backstory behind it.
Backstory. If we would have just been thrown at a whole Agatha show just by herself without any Wanda, just her, whatever, I don't know if it would have been as well received.
I'm going to get crass, and I need everybody to forgive me. Ladies, if you're watching, forgive me. I'm going to get crass because I thought I was watching a Disney show, and that one episode when they put them all in classy clothes in the apartment, and my homegirl, the black chick, and they put her in that form-fitting dress with thong, and I'm like, yo, I'm watching a Disney show. This is like, every time she turned around, it was just like, yo, Clap City. I'm sorry, but it's like this is a Disney show. Yo, y'all know what I'm talking about.
Yes.
Because it was a Disney show. And I'm thinking, why is she the only one in it was a sweater dress, like the tightest dress on earth. And she's built. But you didn't know she could wear it until that episode. Like you didn't know. Then that episode comes and you're like, whoa. And they know now. They put her in the thongs. They have to, because they put her in a bone white dress. Every time she turned around, yes, Diageo. It was like, yo, every time. I'm like, what are we doing? This is a Disney show. Kids are watching this. Like,
other than the rated X version, right? The part where the teen, right, introduces himself and and he can't say his name, that intrigued me. I immediately went to Google, and it says teen. That's all it says. They haven't spoiled it for themselves.
Googled it.
Oh yes, because I don't know because in my head it was like,
Google that dress.
Wakan? I'm like, no, who's this guy? But it got me intrigued. And ever since then, I posted, right, other people putting in the comment section, oh, it's this character, this character, this character. I'm like, I gotta read into these characters now. Like I gotta look into it more.
Well, what do you guys now? Unless you guys know who that person is, do we have theories of who that kid is?
I mean, clearly it's Mephisto.
I think it's Nicholas Scratch.
That's who I thought, and the sigil was because he can't say his name, or else we would know it's Nicholas Scratch.
And she doesn't know that her son is alive.
That's correct. No, they're making it seem that the rabbit is Nicholas Scratch because the cat in the comic books was Nicholas Scratch. People are saying that because that rabbit keeps popping up. My question is, what if? No, it can't be because people thought it was. What's her face's son? Warlock.
I got the Warlock. Oh,
not War.
So I will say that every season of Wanda that has to do with Wanda so far has dropped literally in not even a hint of Blackheart reference. Right? We saw it in the first couple episodes of WandaVision where Blackheart was written on the little. And then we saw
is that Aubrey Plaza?
We saw Aubrey Plaza say, "I have a black heart." Which, you know what I mean? Blackheart, the son of Mephisto.
The son of Mephisto, right.
But we're not getting Mephisto. I'm going to tell you that now. This
is
going to be Marvel's
I told you he's coming in this episode, and they mentioned his name, and I was like, I told you all, you morons.
The running gag, the running joke that Marvel is going to forever play on all of his fans is the hint. They're going to always hint at Mephisto.
But because it started without them ever hinting at it. Like there was no hint about Mephisto, and every person and their mother wanted to say, oh, "Mephisto's coming! Mephisto's coming! Mephisto's coming!"
They said Blackheart. It's Mephisto.
There's got to be 10 guys who have like 75 copies of that first appearance, all hiding to themselves, and they're like, "I'm just waiting. Let's get it going. Let's get it going.
Let's be honest. I mean, you can't have a Blackheart without having Mephisto. I mean,
but we're not getting Blackheart.
So you're not Blackheart is in Aubrey Plaza?
No.
Who is she? Death?
I don't know yet, but like, why do we have to have Mephisto?
What? Help me out. What is Wanda's kid's name? Is one of them? Is it
Tommy?
Warlock?
No, it's Speed and Wiccan.
Wiccan. So I thought maybe it was Wiccan, who's the kid, because we can't say it. No one knows. I just thought maybe what if it is Wiccan? Think about it. You know, I don't know, but
you got to.
Where's that white dress?
He found the dress. Yeah.
What do you mean found it? He's had it saved on his desk.
He was like, yo. It was in too. Like,
his bookmarks. That's
like he turned around. I was like, yo, why?
But I gotta tell you, man, I'm enjoying it. I dig it.
When she turned around,
it kind of. the fact that I love the fact that it kind of a little rejuvenation on the Marvel TV shows.
Hawkling, Diageo Hawkling, not Sakaar. Hawkling.
Sakaar? Oh yeah, Hawkling. Yeah.
Sakaar is Hawk's son. Hawkling isn't.
I'm enjoying it. How many episodes are they gonna do? 8?
We see. Yes, it's episode 7. It's gonna be 9, I think. Yeah, 9. 2 episodes are gonna are going to be 8 and 9 on October 31st.
They're married, Diaja.
Oh,
Who's
shit, my
married?
bad. Yeah,
Oh,
Wiccan and Hawkling.
yeah
you should.
I had to actually see the first appearance. So,
Well, change the subject. I just finished Ring of Power. Um, I tell you what, I enjoyed it immensely. There we go. Thank you, Joe.
go ahead,
I enjoyed it. I enjoyed it immensely, and from what I hear, it started out slow, but the ratings completely went up, and it's like the top 5 or top 3 of
I gotta watch
streaming,
it.
whatever.
I'm gonna binge watch that for sure.
They are so dedicated that they're saying hell or high water, they're gonna complete the 5 seasons. You know, we're on season 2. They have 3 more to go. If they keep up, it's great. It's great acting. I know people bitch and complain, but I'm a big Lord of the Rings fan. I dig it. If you haven't had a chance to go see Ring of Power, it's all done now, so you can go and binge the shit out of it. It's 8 episodes, and go and knock yourself out.
I have 2 seasons to binge.
Yeah, I
It's
think
good. No, there you go.
I think we only watched the first episode.
Yeah, it's binge worthy, and if you get into the whole, it's just cool. It's just they got their wires crossed right over there, and highly enjoy it.
Classic example how people can bash something in the beginning before they really give it an opportunity to, you know what I mean? And then
hey, we've all seen TV shows where they start slow. You're like, you know, and then it goes, hey, look at that. You know, how many times did you talk to people and say, watch it, it gets better, and then you're like, you know what, you're right. It ramped up. They were setting the table, right?
It's the same thing.
You have to tell a story sometimes.
It's exactly what Caesar said about the first episode of Agatha, where the acting at the beginning, he couldn't understand why she was acting like.
Yeah.
That was Ish.
Oh, it was you who said it?
Yeah, it was me.
Ish,
Sorry. But it was exactly like I completely got it right away that it's because she wasn't aware of who she was and whatever, and that was how she was portraying it. Clearly, that was done purposefully that way, and it was done really well. But if you'd have given up on it right then, you'd have missed you'd have missed that dress and everything else that came along with it.
Diaja, you should check out 3 Body Problem, bro.
Did you see this? I just saw it right now, and I had a shirt.
I can't.
The MCU reportedly has plans for Star-Lord to form Annihilators in a future project.
I don't even know what the Annihilators are, but I see Gladiator.
Is Gladiator part of the Annihilators? I see Beta Ray Bill. I see Nova.
Ronin.
This looks like Silver Surfer. Ronin.
Is that Nova? Who's that thing?
I see Ronin. I see him.
The Gladiator in the front.
Yeah, but
that is Nova in the back.
Is that
Over
Sentra?
No, that's Nova in the back. You can see it's got the Nova logo.
This not Silver Surfer, is it?
Oh, there's Nova, yeah, and that's Sentry. Is that Sentry there in the next to Beta Ray Bill?
That's Gladiator.
Right here.
The other guy.
That's Nova.
No. Oh, that could. Yeah. Okay. All right. Yeah, that is Nova, without the helmet.
Nova, Beta Ray, Gladiator. I think that's the Surfer, and then Ronin.
Yeah. That's a tall order to bring.
Yeah.
No, let's be honest. That is a tall order for Marvel to even think about that, because then you got to introduce Gladiator. We all know what happened to Ronin. Why would Ronin be there? Then you got to introduce Beta Ray Bill, and then the Nova, and
you have to give us a reason. Well, I guess I was going to say you have to give us a reason for them to be together, but I guess the reason would be the Annihilation Wave, right? So then they could just kind of come together as a throw together team, I guess. How do you do Beta Ray without Beta Ray pummeling Thor and getting Mjolnir for at least 10 minutes?
There's so much that has to happen first about where they get from now to where everything comes back together in whatever singular universe it is, or however they're going to do it, before you can say how are they going to get to that next. Because we know what happened to Ronin. Clearly, he can't come back as is unless it's not exactly this Ronin, or what happens with the timelines and whatever else. So got to see what comes next to see how they would do that. Again, if it's done well and it's introduced right and it's walked into with the method that Marvel has done it successfully up to this point, it could be good, or it could be dog shit.
So DJ is bringing out the possibility of having a Null
No,
the end of-
well, they already. I mean, the show is
Talking about Spider-Man. He's talking about the Spider-Man from the Sonyverse.
Oh,
the,
Andrew Garfield. Andrew
Andrew
Garfield.
Garfield. Yeah, they're
Yeah,
saying
I
he's
saw
going
that.
to show up and fight.
Well, they could definitely do it,
I don't see why
right? It's kind of funny. Now that I think about it, right? It is kind of funny that why not? Why wouldn't they have introduced that in a long time from the beginning?
Why would they have stopped doing Andrew Garfield Spider? Like, why?
Because
Sony
the
can
second
still
one
do
was
Spider-Man.
The second
not.
one
The
was
first
so
one was
bad.
the best one.
I didn't like him.
No, I'm saying Sony can still do Spider-Man.
Oh, Spider-Man with Andrew Garfield. That
Yeah,
verse.
they can still just do Spider-Man.
yeah.
They can cast anyone and still do Spider-Man. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah,
Sony
yeah,
can
yeah.
still do Spider-Man. It's their IP.
That's why.
So they
That's
can
what's
still,
so surprising.
You know what I mean?
I didn't. It didn't dawn on me till right now. I'm like, you're right. Why didn't they fucking throw Spider-Man in Venom and the second one, and now the third one? Why not? They own the
Toby and-
right. Throw them in there, right?
Yes, sir.
Wow, that is true. Though
Right.
Garfield is not my
Oh,
favorite. He
shit.
won me a little bit in the last Spider-Man. He won me a little bit, but he's not my Spider-Man. I think he's too old to play a high school student.
But he's
Who's
not
your-
a high
who's
school
your-
student anymore.
Who's your Spider-Man?
You know, that's a good question.
That's a good question.
It is because
Andrew Garfield was my favorite Peter Parker by far. He was my favorite Peter Parker.
Everyone wants to say Toby because he was the first. The same way people like to say, what's his face of Batman because he was the first.
No, it's
But
because
because what?
it's because he was the best.
Who?
No,
Keaton.
Keaton was not the best.
No, he wasn't.
Who was better?
Top 3.
Michael
Bale.
Keaton was not
Bale was
Who was
better.
better? You're
I
gonna
think
say
Bale
Val-
was
you're gonna
better.
say Val Kilmer?
No,
Christian Bale was
Christian
a better.
Bale.
was
Like,
a
Val
better-
Kilmer is not even
yeah.
in the conversation.
I think
You know
Christian Bale is number 2. I think Bale had the better films, other than
Okay.
the third one.
Okay.
But
okay.
the better Batman, Keaton crushed it.
You think Bell had the best trilogy of Batman films, period. But Batman
Yes.
1,
Oh, that's
Batman 1 with Keaton is
it's the original, of course. I mean,
is the
Is
top.
that the original?
You know, I think The Dark Knight is the best of all of them.
Who's the kid now for Spider-Man?
Tom Holland.
What's his
Tom
name?
He's
Holland.
not
Tom
a kid.
Holland.
He's like 30.
No, he's like 30,
Right.
right? But he's
Who's your
still-
But he
Spider-Man?
looks like he's 12, so
I would like to say Tom is maybe my Spider-Man. Let me tell you why only. Because he just doesn't shut the fuck up. Just kind of like what Peter Parker does. He just doesn't shut up. He's just constantly running his mouth. And he's believable. I can go with and then Toby second and then maybe Andrew.
Who's your favorite Venom? Who's your Venom?
what?
There were only two.
Well, yeah, it's got to be Tom Hardy because Topher Grace was not Venom.
Topher Grace was shitty.
But here's my issue with Tom Holland being and I like Tom Holland, don't get me wrong. His Spider-Man is off. Spider-Man is a wisecracking, like.
Can we get to put him at the bottom? Can I unfriend you? We're friends, right? So I can unfriend you.
Because I'm saying
hold on.
the thing that bothers me about Tom Holland is his he doesn't have the wisecracks that Spider-Man has while he's battling. Like
And Andrew Garfield does?
No. Again, I said I loved Andrew Garfield's Peter Parker.
Peter Parker.
I don't think anyone has portrayed Spider-Man the way Spider-Man is when he's fighting yet. And the closest was Tobey Maguire.
And that's still a far cry. But yeah, you're right.
And it's still a far cry. But that's the part that's always been like the problem with Tom Holland for me is he's so insecure in his role as Spider-Man. Like his doubting himself. Like Spider-Man always questions, should I be doing this? Should I not be doing this? But when he's in the moment fighting the villains in the comics, he is this cocky, smart-ass kid. And you don't get that at all from any of the portrayals thus far of Spider-Man when he's Spider-Man.
So I'm going to choose Tom Holland. And I agree with everything that Dorf said. And I'm going to add to that because I do agree. I'm going to choose Tom Holland, and the only reason why I'm going to choose Tom Holland is because his first movie was, to me, the first time I felt like I was watching a Spider-Man movie, like the way a Spider-Man film should be. Like it was really the first time out of all the Spider-Man movies we got, his first movie was like, wow, I'm really watching what a Spider-Man movie should be. I do agree with the way Spider-Man carries himself. I do think that Tom Holland is portraying the youngest version, most accurately, the youngest version of Peter Parker. And to what Dwarf is saying, you got to keep in mind, for those who don't read Spider-Man and don't understand, or don't really, and those who do read Spider-Man, but those who aren't so entrenched in the mythos, Spider-Man isn't well liked by his peers because he talks too effing much.
Yep.
He really talks too much, and they tell him out there they annoy they're all annoyed by him. And I'm talking about other heroes. And then number two, he's also very not dependable. He's always getting told about himself by other heroes because, like, he's never there when they need him. You know what I mean? But when he needs them, he's always got allies. But whenever they need Peter's nowhere to be found. And they always tell him this all the time. Every time but anyway, yes, he's very annoying. Very annoying. And many heroes personally don't like him.
Ish, I think he captured. I think he captured a little bit of that in Civil War, right? Where he just is that nervous chatter, always talking, and Iron Man's like, ugh, like just be quiet, just sit there, just stand there, right? It's that. So I think he captured a little bit of that anxious kind of you're obnoxious, like just shut up and just go and fight, So I totally get that. So what are we looking at here? Is this the new popcorn?
Yeah, from Regal. So what do you think on that? What are y'all's thoughts on that?
The anti-venom one is interesting.
Mm-hmm.
Wait, but what are we looking at? I don't understand. What are we looking at though? That's the bust, but what's the two on the bottom?
Venom. Those are going to be probably either different popcorn statues or different toppers. Drink caps.
Yeah.
I like the anti-venom. That's kind of cool. Yeah.
Yeah, but did you know anti-venom was going to be in the movie? Because you do now.
You know what? I gotta tell you, man. I do, and I always say,
is that Venom Shark?
I'm very, very, very annoyed. What are those two things on top, Dale? What is that?
Is that Venom Shark?
No, not that. That. What is that?
Is that Venom Shark?
That's the look.
But what is it?
Oh, that's a Venom mask. That's a mask.
Yeah, that's Venom's face coming out of the cup.
Pretty much.
Oh, okay. Oh, okay. All right. That's it. Okay, got it.
That cup is really cool. If that's actually what you're getting, that's a really cool cup.
That's interesting. Okay. I am over. Marketing fucks up for a lot of things for people who like us who just want to go to the movie sometimes. You're like, oh, like you just did right now, Dorf. You just did it. You're like, oh, look at there's anti-venom. Why would they make an anti-venom prop if he's not going to be in the movie? Well, now I'm expecting anti-venom in the movie.
Of course.
The days of being surprised gone.
Caesar, were you going to go watch this movie in the theaters?
No.
So don't be faking.
I know, but now I know the anti-venom's going to be in it once it fucking comes out.
Andrew Garfield has to be in it, because how do you do Flash Thompson without Peter Parker? Like, how do you justify?
You were going to find out regardless, because we would have watched it and you would have found out by somebody else before it came out streaming.
Look, that's the one thing. Deadpool and Wolverine did so incredibly well. They put out so many fake ass rumors of all of these things that were going to happen to help. So you didn't know which was true and which wasn't. I did not have any idea that I was going to see Elektra.
Really?
Sure, I'd heard some of the other stuff, but that Elektra was going to show up.
Actually,
I was surprised by Blade.
I was surprised by Blade.
There you go.
I knew about Elektra because I don't know where, but Blade
on the comic page.
And I didn't know anything about
Gambit.
See, I heard some of that, but I didn't buy into it because, again, there were 25 billion different. Oh, he's going to be in this. Professor X is back, and Patrick Stewart is back, and Ian McKellen is back, and this is back. Everyone and their mother was back for this movie.
Blade really, really threw me for a loop, and for that split second, I was very, very happy that I was not spoiled by anything else. I was like, "Are you listening to music, Del?"
No,
I was listening to the initial. Holy shit! That's Wesley Snipes. A skinny ass Wesley Snipes, but it was
Oh, he
Wesley
looked like a
Snipes the
bootleg
best.
version of Blade. He literally looked
He
like
did.
Timu Blade. Like he really
He
did.
did.
I was like, yo, what's up
He
with the
did.
hair? Like, yo.
And the little soul patch. It was
The white
it
soul
was kind of
patch.
weird. Yeah, I was like, but it
purple.
was not Blade nonetheless. Now Gambit, you're right. Channing Tatum. I was like,
You're about to make a
and
new
he
one,
came,
so
and he came out. And I was like, shit. And not only did he come out, he came out looking like fucking Gambit. So,
No, he didn't.
and well, what do you mean? Well,
The
he did
outfit. The
the
outfit.
I'm gonna talk about the accent. And the other one
He's a much more
surprise,
bulky Gambit than I remember of my Gambit.
and the other surprise was Johnny Storm. That surprised the shit out.
that one was a good surprise. Yeah,
That was like,
that was
all
phenomenal.
all right. So you're right. They did a great job, and kudos to the community for not blowing spoilers the next day. I
Wouldn't
gotta
it
be
be
honest
cool if
with
they
you.
had both Johnny Storms? Michael B.
Who was it?
Jordan.
Michael B. Jordan too.
But they just both died. It was like, yo, we
Hey.
got to get rid of both of them.
What if it was Killmonger on fire?
Yo, I think we're leaving a really awesome conversation on the table, though, that y'all started on and just kind of left. And I think the awesome conversation is, what if Sony finally got it right? Like, this marketing seems to be really dope. It seems like they're making the biggest Venom movie possible, right? The idea of Null, anti-Venom, Andrew Garfield coming back, them leaving some Venom pieces in the Marvel universe, and the idea of potentially setting up this carrying over into the next Spider-Man movie in the MCU. Like, what if this is the one time Sony at least from a marketing perspective and a leak and a hint perspective, I'm intrigued.
Or what if this is the repeated time of, wait, if we throw all of this in here, maybe finally it'll work and it'll be a moneymaker and it'll kill for us.
But they
And
haven't
it
done
ends up
that yet.
bombing.
But they actually haven't done that yet.
But they
No,
tried that.
They haven't.
They tried that.
But they've seen it happen. DC has done it repeatedly. It's been done where let's take this, let's this, and then boom, and crap.
Yeah,
Like,
but I'm around for this because Sony's made so many bad films, so many times, and gotten things wrong so many times, and we're so used to getting. That's the one thing about Sony that I'm seeing different now, and I'm not saying Sony's going to be great.
Okay,
Sony blows their wads in their trailers.
Sony did it
get
once.
all the best. You get all the best.
Sony did it right once.
Did they?
Days of Future Past.
That was
Days
Fox.
of Future Past
That
was great.
That was Fox.
That's Fox.
That was Fox. You're right. I'm sorry, it wasn't Sony.
But so
My
Sony,
apologies.
what I mean by
But
Sony,
there's your one example where it was done right.
Sony has this habit, right, of taking all of the best things in a movie and throwing them in a trailer. So if you watch the trailer, you've seen all the best parts of the movie. They did it with Morbius. They did it with Madam Web. Like, all of the best parts of the movie were in the trailer.
I don't remember there being best parts of those movies.
Yeah, the Morbius trailer was phenomenal.
It was.
The trailer for Morbius was awesome.
The trailer sold me 100%.
And the movie was not. Like, it was not.
I tell you what though, Sony did try that once where they threw everything in the trash can. They did it with that Spidey where they brought in Sandman, Venom. They brought in who was the Hobgoblin? Who was that?
You can't count that.
The Green Goblin.
They brought in Sinister Six. You can't count that. But here's why you can't count that, though, Caesar. And this is fair on Sony's part. Before Sony negotiated with Marvel to let them borrow Tom Holland's Spider-Man, Sony had an entire movie universe planned around the Andrew Garfield Venom that they just scrapped. Completely. They had a Sinister Six movie coming. They had a whole universe. They even put out a timeline and told you all the movies that we were going to get. They had their own movie universe planned that they just threw in the trash can because they let Marvel get Tom Holland. They let Marvel get Spider-Man. That's when we're just going to go back to the drawing board. We're going to give you Venom. We're going to give you Madam Web. Now we're going to give you Kraven. But they actually had, going before the pandemic, they had an entire movie universe planned. And they gave us, like, we knew the movies that were coming. And that movie with Sinister Six was a part of it. They were going to go on and continue. And these characters were all going to get movies. that got scrapped.
But had Spider-Man 2 not sucked, Amazing Spider-Man 2 sucked so badly, then we wouldn't have had the here Marvel, you can have it, and let's scrap all of these.
Well, there was
They
a
were
lot of
trying-
there was a lot of pushback. They didn't want to give Marvel Spider-Man.
Did you Amazing Spider-Man 2, and I didn't like any part of this movie, don't get
Agreed.
me wrong. But if you watched the first half of that movie and the second half of that movie, they were two
different
completely
movies?
different movies that they stuck together. There was a
bad.
huge disconnect in whoever started making this shit and whoever finished that and how it went together. And because of it, you got the crap that came out and it killed any chance of whatever universe they had in mind. So yeah,
Yes.
they tried to, they were going to, but they completely botched it. They
So,
dropped the ball.
the two series that was in development but has been paused was Silk
Mhm.
and Black and White. It was Silver Sable and Black Cat.
Yep, Silver Sable, Black Cat. But that was after. That was been after the MCU though.
And then it's still in pause right now, so they still have a chance to bring it back up, but I don't think they will.
No,
Who's-
because
who
they were
wants- who
hoping that
wants
Madam
to-
Web hit before they, like Madam Web, and they were all announced at the same time. The Craven is going to the end of all of these stupid Sony side projects, in my opinion.
Until
It
they
is
do
going
it.
to
They're gonna
bomb,
do more.
not without getting a whole revamped who's making the decisions and who's running. Like they need to put a James Gunn or a Kevin Feige or someone who has some kind of credibility to start doing it there, or
but
it will
Look how
just
successful
lose.
Venom franchise is.
But
The
it will
money
just
it made them a lot of money.
it's not going to. Well, that's what I'm saying is if they botch this one, which I'm sure they will, and Craven dies too, like it's going to be god awful, and there will be no one who is willing to put any like people still aren't ready to jump onto DC and say James Gunn's going to do well with it, even though we've seen James Gunn do great stuff in Marvel and whatever. People are not ready to really be convinced that DC is not going to screw up this time.
But the problem is, right? That's just a bad opinion, not your opinion, a bad public opinion, and it comes from people who are Marvel loyalists because half of DC movies are bad and half of DC movies were good. It's not from a metrics perspective, from a financial perspective,
okay,
from an actual make money perspective, right? All of DC's movies weren't bad. All of DC's movies did not flop. It's just the truth, right? Like half of them flopped, half of them made money, actually made money.
Here's the reality of it for DC. If you put Superman's logo on a film, that film will almost definitely make profit.
Yeah, yeah.
He is the only one. None of the other characters have that.
Batman
Batman as well.
No, but I mean, the Batman, the last one, I mean, it was okay, but it didn't crush like the others before it.
But it still made a profit.
Yes, but it was it also had a much lower budget than the previous Batman things that had come out before. So turning a profit on that one was easier. Like it's a different scenario. They didn't approach it the same way they had with previous Batman movies. Yes,
the second Venom film made $400 million global, and its cost was significantly under. So this is a financial success.
Success, not comic book success, not comic book geek. What they wanted success financially, yes.
We're the minority though. Comic book geeks are the minority.
100% minority.
They don't care about us. They
don't make those movies for us. They don't make movies for us. I mean, they throw us a bone once in a while. They throw us a bone, but they don't make it for. We're not profitable. We're just not. It's just
a lot of the stuff they put in Spider-Man No Way Home was for us.
No. So they throw us bones, but they're not made for. They're made for the general population. I mean, they made for people who. Oh, Spider-Man's in a movie. Oh, yeah, here we go. I mean, they can't get. That's why they can't get too detailed because you start losing people. You just do. It's just the way it is. So listen, we're 5 minutes over. We usually go 2 hours. I gotta tell you guys, what a good show, considering the fact that our guests who we're supposed to talk about didn't show up.
So real quick before that, I'm gonna go show it off either way.
Yes.
But we were gonna talk about where is the picture at? These are the covers for the Comic Corner with
Yeah,
Brian
those are
Asher, Nicolas Sapienza, and Cody Clinton.
Yeah, they're NYCC exclusives. That Batman one's kind of cool.
That
I
Batman
agree.
one is cool.
I don't see
Look,
that.
it doesn't do it justice here. That Transformers foil is badass looking.
Yeah, that Batman that looks
see
like
it.
Akira. It's a Batman. Yeah.
I see it. That's
It-
dope.
yeah,
I do
it-
like
it-
the Transformers one.
Yep.
Let me
Savage
tell you,
Land Rogue,
if you
Wonder
see the
Woman.
actual foil, it's gorgeous. Like that does not do it justice at all.
Shout out to
So-
the Comic Corner, by
so,
the way.
yeah,
Shout
go-
out to Diage Maller. Love that comment too, by the way.
Which
You
one?
better not
Spike
be.
Lee? Oh,
No. I know what he's fucking talking about. I know what
before
the
we
fuck he's
even
talking
before we
about.
even start on that bullshit, this was a impromptu gathering of people to we start out kind of slow, but you know what I gotta tell you guys, every single time we have a panel of people, it's always fun and it's great. So you guys, thanks Ish and Dorf for jumping on and giving us some content. Always, you guys are always very appreciated.
Thank you for having me.
Yes, Alex, you are. Sorry.
You are. I was gonna say the same thing. I was gonna be like, yeah, Alex.
Ish and I have
That's
never
that's not
agreed as
bad.
much as we have on this episode.
That's not bad to be a Vampirella fan. She's a pop
It's-
culture, I guess.
It's
comic
one of my
icon.
favorite. It's one of my favorite books I have. It's my Vampirella #1. I mean, it's a classic. You gotta have it.
Do you have Elvira?
But
Is it signed by Elvira? Why not?
oh God! All right, guys. Thanks, but we're gonna go around the horn as always, and with the ending glass. Let's start with the guy who has nothing to say. How about this guy right here, Dorf? What can we find?
I have nothing to say. I'm Dorf.
There you go. That's it. We're gonna go with yeah. You can catch Dorf here from time to time. There you go.
I'm easy
Ish.
to find.
Yeah,
Yep,
easy.
y'all can catch me here from time to time. Y'all can catch me on Comic Sense. Love hanging out with this crew. So y'all can catch me on Comic Sense with an X, COMIXSENSE. Appreciate being on. Thank y'all.
All right, and look at that, people. He has eyes. Just to let you know. Hey everybody. You know me. Same old stuff. We're gonna see you guys next week. We'll start trying to figure out who we're gonna do.
All right.
Who's
Aren't
gonna
you
be
gonna
on
do aren't you gonna do the charity?
the 22nd.
Oh wait, that's right. Next week
Yeah,
is
so
the 15th.
next week's the weekend the 15th. So next week we'll figure out some guests. But you guys know where to find me on here on IG. Or if you guys want some reels, I got a couple reels I got to do tonight to finish up to drop tomorrow morning. So if you want to promote your shit, hit me up.
Does your
for
t-shirt say
voiceovers.
Mandalorian?
Yeah.
Oh, that's dope.
Yeah.
That's really
Anyways,
dope. Who read it
so
for you?
what's that?
Who read it for you? Guys know it's a comic t-shirt, so you probably bypassed.
Okay, go ahead, Dal. Why don't you just go ahead and I'm gonna ignore it like that.
So I forgot to mention,
Exactly what you
I
said.
just got this on Monday. So
Oh, yeah,
I
you
had
finally
sold
got
mine
yours.
back in February. Now I have another copy. So Harley Quinn, I loved her.
That's pretty
And then
clean.
as
That's
my
a nice
con,
copy.
this one I also got recently. And then I am actually getting the first appearance on Gambit this Wednesday or Thursday. So I'm getting my books back slowly but surely. I'm at to sell. So for now, I have
Which Gambit first appearance?
266.
All right.
That's right.
Second appearance.
The only true appearance.
The only one that really matters.
The only one that people care about.
I mean, I had the other one. I had like 5 copies of the other one for a while, but it's like there's the cover doesn't pop like the
Avengers annual. Sorry.
Wait, yo, you mean to tell me that ugly 266 cover, which has some of the worst art ever, doesn't pop over Art Adams' cover of
that
Annual
one,
14?
yes,
Art
that
the
one,
Goat
yes.
Adams.
X-Men Annual 14. My 9.8 pops just fine.
It's beautiful. And then
Yep.
you look at X-Men 266 and you look at the
Better.
my on that cover. Come on, man.
To
Are
be
you looking at
fair,
art?
my
But
9.8 of that pops
it
fine.
is
too.
what it is, though, man. It's the most popular cover, though. It's just the way it is.
It's not the most popular cover. It's just the most
Of-
popular
Of
book.
those two, it's the more popular one of those two.
Because it's a cover photo.
If anything, I like this cover more.
This guy. All right, guys.
Actually dope.
That was fun. Oh, what do you got, Dale?
Oh, I just barely said my stuff. Gosh, this guy. Anyways, so thank you very much for tuning in this week. My name is Dell. You can reach me out here any single time. We are always. I'm always constant controversy on the page. If you see something you do not like, it's gonna be there. I mean.
Look at it.
If you don't like, it's gonna be there no matter what.
Either we're gonna argue, or I'm just gonna block you, giving you a heads up. Okay, I hear people like it's funny because I'll post about food, right? What does it got to do about comics? Oh, it's the menu part of the title.
My favorite thing that Dell does on that page is he'll post something really controversial, and someone will be like, "Yo, man, that was just not cool to say," and Dell will be like, "Oh yeah, I'll let the guy know that it's not cool to say." Like, yeah, I'll be sure to let him know that it's not cool. Like it's somebody else.
It is somebody else. I mean, it's stuff. I guess it's somebody else. So,
let him know.
I'll let him know, huh?
You need to watch the rerun, Jeremy. It's the new Joker, trash overall. Yeah. But the movie, if you named it, I put a name on it. I think you liked it too, Ish. No, it was Tom that liked it. I renamed it a psychotic man and woman paired up and have thoughts. I don't know what I put, but it was honestly, I need to watch it going in as like, okay, this is a regular movie. It's not the Joker. I'm gonna rename it in my head so I can watch it. But
if you saw the first one, you already know it's not the Joker.
True.
Dale, don't forget the sponsor, yeah.
Oh, and I did want to say something too, because I want you to do a sponsor. I just want to say something too to something you posted in the Comment Menu podcast. Shout out to the Comment Menu podcast. By the way, if y'all watching this live, please go over to YouTube. Go to YouTube. Look at the YouTube. Click thumbs up, thumbs down. Support the YouTube channel for sure. I just want to say something, Del. That comparison with which was a great comparison with the two Harleys, Lady Gaga versus I can't remember her name because I do not like her. I just don't like her, and I don't want to be biased towards her because she's good. I personally just do not like her. That having been said, the comparison is dope, but I think it gets a bad rap when people like Margot Robbie's my Harley Quinn, da 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 da. It's like, listen, we're talking the difference in the two is Jack Nicholson versus Heath Ledger. Right, they were both great Jokers. For Jack Nicholson was great, and they were both great for their own reasons and for different reasons. Right, they didn't play the same Joker. Right, like Lady Gaga's not playing a goofball. She's not playing goofball Harley, which that doesn't mean Margot Robbie did it bad. Lady Gaga's playing seriously mentally disturbed Harley. She's playing a different Harley, but a Harley nonetheless.
To that point, both Jack Nicholson and Heath Ledger played the Joker differently than what you're all accustomed to seeing the Joker as in the comic. Right. And that didn't make it bad.
And they were both great. Both of them were great. I know people like to compare Heath Ledger and say he was better. Nobody had more quotables than Jack Nicholson. They made a book of Jack Nicholson's quotables as Joker. Like nobody had more quotables. Have you ever danced with the devil in the pale moonlight? Like, come on, man. He had so many quotables. Anyway, I'm sorry.
Let's move on with the negativity.
This episode of the Comic Menu is proudly sponsored by Superior Stand, the stand that stands back. Use code The Comic Menu for 25% off at superiorstand.com. And follow us on Instagram at The Superior Stand for more.
Anyways, with that being said, guys, I do appreciate y'all for stopping by. We didn't argue as much as this episode. We did have a lot of conversations. We're always pretty good conversations this time. It wasn't a lot back and forth. Ish and Dorf weren't.
No arguments.
So it was pretty good. It was Caesar pretended he knew what he was talking about, so I like that one. But with that being, we'll see you next week. Thank you very much.
What's the meaning of this disturbance? What's the meaning of this disturbance?